Hello everyone, my name is Matt Kaiser and this is College Web Media. Today I had the pleasure of interviewing Ori Spado. Ori was a prominent figure in the world of organized crime, known for his unorthodox rise to power and his unique approach to business. Starting off as an insurance salesman in Rome, New York, he eventually moved to California where he became a fixer for some of the biggest names in Hollywood, and eventually getting the title, the mob boss of Hollywood. From his keen sense of business to his charismatic personality, Spado became a force to be reckoned with. His 2020 memoir, The Accidental Gangster, From Insurance Salesman to Hollywood Fixer, details his life from humble beginnings to becoming a titan of industry. It was an absolute pleasure to speak with him, and I hope you enjoyed this interview. Well, Ori, thank you again for allowing us to come to your house and interview you. We really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day for this interview. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Matthew. When the sun is shining, you can count on me smiling.
Fantastic. I love hearing that. Before we start, do you have any social media handles that you'd like to promote so people can follow you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. That's the Accidental Gangster. On Facebook, I have the Accidental Gangster. Plus, I got Ori Spado. I'm on TikTok. Believe it or not, Ori Spado. I think it is. And I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm on everything.
Great. That's great for everyone to know where you're at, find you, and follow you up on you too.
And my website is the www.theaccidentalgangster.com. Please follow and subscribe to my website, and I'll be giving updates on certain things there come pretty soon. So.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. You were born in Rome, New York, and right out of high school, you joined the Army. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
Was that always your plan to join the Army? Did you ever think about going to college or trade school?
No, actually, I was going to join the Marines, and I ended up in the Army.
How did that happen?
And actually, three of my friends joined the Army. One was 17, Fred Farringer. And I remember being in the pool room, they say, hey, you should come with us, we'll all be together, And Fred had to go to Utica, New York, because his parents had to sign for him. So he asked me to skip school on that particular day, which I did, and drove to Utica with him to the Army recruiters. And it was in Hotel Utica. I'll never forget that day. I'm sitting in a chair. You can see the window, I can see all the damn snow on as high as the building. And Fred gives him the papers, talks with him. Recruiter looks at me, he said, why don't you go with your friends? I said, they already signed this and that, they took the test, all that there. He said, well, he says, I can arrange it for you to go with them. I said, if you can guarantee me IBM training, that's what it was called, the computer training was IBM training, when the computers were as big as this building. And I said, and I don't want to take basic or Fort Dix, you got to send me down south, I want to go where it's warm. You got it. I signed the papers. He said, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning, like 7 a.m. or something like that. Just bring your toothbrush and $40. And next morning, my mother gave me the $40 reluctantly, and she was upset. And I got in this car and we drove to Albany, where I took the test, and I thought I was going to be able to party all night in Albany and have it being paid for. Instead, they put us on an airplane and brought us to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And I'll never forget, we got there, it was late at night, and they're throwing papers in front of us. And one of the papers I'll never forget, it was just a question. are you interested in airborne? Yes or no? Oh, you're 18 years old. I'm interested in a lot of things. And I marked it yes. Next thing you know, I'm off to Fort Gordon, Georgia, in airborne basic training. And I had 3 years in the Army. I loved it. It was a great time. I firmly believe that one of the biggest mistakes, and a lot of these college kids probably disagree with me, was them taking away the draft. And the reason for that there is, in our country today, as you look around, we do not have respect, honor, and loyalty like we used to. And since they took away the draft, our crime rate has increased in this country. And that's because I feel that's one of the reasons why. You know, it was a great outlet, great training, and great mindset to teach the young people and show that they had a duty, you know, to stand up for our country in time of need. Those days are gone.
Did you want to stay longer in the military, or did you want to get out right away?
Well, I wanted to I did my 3 years. I enlisted for 3 years. My 3 friends went to Germany, and I went to Hawaii. And I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate to be there, and I loved every minute of it. I got no regrets. I served my country proudly, and I learned a lot.
In 1966, you were honorably discharged, and then you got into the insurance business. How did that come about? Was insurance always something you had an eye for, something you wanted to get into?
No, you know, I began hustling at the age of 12 years old. I got a paper route with Roundtable Sentinel, Rome, New York. And I learned to be able to knock on doors and get subscribers. My father gave me a lot of encouragement of overcoming the fear. You gotta remember, I'm 12 years old. I'm talking to adults who own houses, asking them to subscribe and to the newspaper. And I used to win a lot of contests because I got more subscribers than others and so forth. And that's carried on to me throughout my whole life, being a salesperson. So I learned the fundamentals of sales and mindset through that there. When I got out of the Army, I had a job lined up in Los Angeles with Pan American Airlines. I was engaged to a gal here whose father was against the marriage. And I remember when I got out, I was at the Hilton Hotel here in Beverly Hills. She came over, she was crying because her father was upset. She wanted to run away and get married. Well, look, I'm 21 years old. I'm just beginning my life. There's no way I can give this girl. I mean, they lived in a big home here in Beverly Hills. No way that I can give her the life that she had been accustomed to. And, you know, her father's going to disown her. How could she live with that there? You know, that would always be a thorn in our side. I recognized that. I told her to go back home, and I got on a plane the next day, flew back to New York, and my father said, "You should have stayed in California. There's nothing here for you." And I was broke. So I said, well, get me a job at Revere. I'll work there and I'll save my money and I'll work a few months and I'll go back to California. And so he got me the job at Revere. I worked a night shift. After 3 weeks and 3 days, I didn't save a freaking penny. And when I got paid on Friday, I went out, I spent it. I partied, got girls and so forth. And I hated working there. I went to my supervisor, I said, I give you my 2-week notice. And he said, Spado, I know you hate it here. He said, don't worry about the 2-day notice, he said. We all know your father. He said, you could leave tonight. He said, it won't hurt your record. I said, thank you.
It's very nice of him.
And I left, and then from there I went to computer business and machine school, and that lasted a couple of months. And then I worked at Kelsey Hayes, which made airline parts, a few months there. And then from there, somebody was trying to get me to sell for Bankers Life. Mm-hmm. And it got me interested in the insurance business, but I decided I wanted to go with a different company. So I interviewed at the Prudential Insurance Company, which hired me. And I became a leading agent. I loved it. It was great. I loved it. I mean, during the daytime, I went out to department store. I showed women, female, had appointments every night. And I became a member of the $1 Million Roundtable.
Which is a big deal.
Big deal,
yeah.
And so I was going to all the conventions. I loved it. And eventually, I moved back to California in 1971 with my wife and my daughter. And at that time, I had built up a lot of real estate we owned and so forth back in upstate New York.
For our viewers, could you explain what the $1 Million Roundtable is?
$1 Million Roundtable is a group of people who sold over $1 million in one given year of life insurance. Mm-hmm. And I was one of them. I mean, my renewal, the insurance business, for anybody thinking, you're all college people that I'm talking to here, I strongly recommend the insurance business too, because today, even in today's world, it's one of the best businesses to be in. If you want to earn money, you want to have your own hours, your own time, if you're independent and you have the ability to talk with people. Mm-hmm. And one thing about selling, and one thing that I learned is selling is 98% understanding human beings, 2% product knowledge. So you gotta be able to talk to people, put them at ease. I still remember when I would knock on doors, and normally the wife would come to the door, and I would always want to talk to the husband and wife at the kitchen table. And my line was, or if I was making a phone call to make an appointment, I have money for future delivery for you. Mm-hmm. I have money for future delivery. Well, they don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but they heard money. They didn't want to talk to me. Yeah. And then I sit down and I give my presentation. And it was a very rewarding experience. After you're in it a while, the people that you sold, and you're doing people good things by being able to provide these services. So if you want to do anything at all, the first thing I try to teach, since my release from prison, I changed my mindset, changed my ways, and no longer involved in the life. I love helping people. Mm-hmm. Young people. I mentored a lot of young men that staying out of life of prison. It don't pay. You're not going to get away with it. You're going to end up in jail if you got that thought. I don't care who you are or what you do. And it's worse today than it was when I got caught. Because today the FBI don't need to leave their office. They know what you're doing. You're sitting in their office following you. Mm-hmm. But I lost track of what I wanted to say now. What was I saying?
I think you were talking about the values of selling insurance.
Yeah, the values of selling insurance. No matter what you do, whatever you choose to do in life, mm-hmm. the most important thing is love what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I loved selling insurance. I loved helping people. And the rewards, I mean, later in years, even when I was living in California no longer, people call me up. You pester me all the time, Spade, always knocking on my door. But I gotta thank you, because if I didn't listen to you, I wouldn't have been able to retire. So, you hear stories like that. I sold hospitalization insurance. People who needed surgery and so forth, they didn't have it. They couldn't have the surgery. So, those things are, I loved what I was doing. So no matter what you do in life, find something that you love doing. Mm-hmm. You're going to college, you're getting an education, but the day's going to come when you're going to be in that cap and down and throw that cap up in the air, and now you're going to enter the world. Enter the world with love. Enter the world to help people. Do good. And if you love what you're doing, you're going to be successful. And you're going to be happy.
When Ori and Matt return, Ori talks about how he became Hollywood's fixer. Purchase Ori's book, The Accidental Gangster, on his website, theaccidentalgangster.com.
Whether you're deciding on a major, wondering how to network effectively, or planning your career, College Web Mentor offers a range of tools and services to help you succeed.
And those are two things that you want to achieve in life. Being happy, being successful.
I agree. That is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you, just because it's a big part of your life and your book and who you are. You go from soldier to successful insurance salesman to Hollywood fixer. Could you explain a little bit how that transition happened?
That was happened because I got the ability to talk, and I understand people. And it actually began with Dino De Laurentiis and Ralph Serpi. They were filming a movie in New York across 110th Street.
And for people who don't know, Dino De Laurentiis is a famous Hollywood producer, produced Serpico, Flash Gordon, Barbarella, a bunch of hits and classics back in the day.
King Kong,
yeah.
Yeah. In this movie, the star was Anthony Quinn, and they went to New York, start filming. And most of you don't realize, but back in those days, a lot of filming was taking place in New York. And they cross 110th Street, for those who don't know, is Harlem. And they were getting robbed every day. And being stopped on the shot, they got the city permits to be able to film. But they didn't get the permission from the wise guys whose territory that was.
What were they taking? Like just set material?
They were taking the equipment, taking stuff, and so Ralph Serpi called a friend of ours, Lou Perry. Lou Perry was a casting director. He also the guy that discovered Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. And he said, Lou Perry told him, you got to call Frank Russo. So I drove with Frank to New York, and he met with Frank Costello. And Frank, overnight, boom, everything was taken care of. Nothing being robbed no more, they got no problems, they proceeded to film. And the next time was, we went to Boston, they were filming a breach shot. And I was there. Everybody in Boston was on the payroll of the movie. Everybody was an extra, a no job pay. That got out of hand, things like that there. The budget's a very important aspect. That budget goes up, you're gonna upset a lot of people. Dino's office was right here on Cannon Drive. There was another film, I can't remember which one. They were having a problem with the director, and the actor was giving the director, which happens often, giving him a hard time, causing it to go over budget. I said, I'll go over and take it. and I took care of the situation. And every situation that I took care of, both people came out happy. Okay, it cannot be a one-sided thing. You got to make them both happy. Now, you got to understand the people. And I did it quietly, did it without a gun or anything else. And I always went by myself. I never needed to bring anybody to show any strength. And word went around Hollywood and studios and agents and lawyers. My phone would ring and I'd analyze the situation, I'd give them a fee, and I'd go take care of it.
One of the things I absolutely love that you said in an interview was, I never threatened anybody as my time as a fixer. I only gave proper advice.
Right.
What kind of proper advice would you give them if you had an example?
Well, like what?
I mean, if someone had like an issue that they were dealing with and they needed your help, how would you resolve a situation?
Well, proper advice, it depends how bad the situation was. Let's take, in my book, I do mention one name for a specific reason. She's a very nice gal, Naomi Campbell. She was being stalked, didn't know where the stalker lived, so I had to find the stalker. She had some clues, and I'm in California, but we found them in Long Island, New York. I sent 2 guys there with instructions, and once the guy opened the door, they bust through the door, put the guy in a chair, and use his phone to get me on the line. And I talked to the guy. The other 2 guys standing there. And I made him understand very specifically that if I ever heard that he even thought of Naomi Campbell again, I said, I want you to take a good look at those 2 gentlemen there. I said, right now, I said, they're looking good. I said, but the next time you see them, if there is a next time, those will be the last faces you'll see on earth. You know, sometimes you gotta use certain things to make people understand something. Because, I mean, here he is back there and he's stalking her every minute of the day. It's crazy, these people, you know. That took care of the situation. But, you know, there's a way of talking to people. You know, if an actor and a director, for example, you sit down with the actor, you got a good paycheck to be here, to do what you do well. What you do well is acting. He's the director. He knows what he's doing. He sees in his head how he wants to shoot this scene. You're disrupting that because you think you know more than him. You got to go along with what the script says and not what you think. Okay? He's the one, it's the director's cut that you're doing here. No. You know, you want to be replaced? We can do that there, but that's still going to hurt the budget. So why don't you just shake hands over here, okay? Admit that you're wrong, all right? And you both go on and be friends. And you got to bring them together and make them happy.
That's an important part too, because you're basically the cooler in that situation where 2 people see opposites and you make them realize that they have a common goal. And
they got a common goal, and that common goal is you're not the only 2 people on this set. There's hundreds of people relying on this film getting shot and coming on budget. There's people that put up their hard money on this.
Yeah. That's crazy. One of the things I wanted to ask you too, as a big part of your life, was in 2008 you got wrapped up in a RICO charge, and then you got sent to prison. Can you talk about your experience in jail and coming out and how it changed you and affected your life after that?
You know, a lot of people are going to laugh at this here, but you know, first of all, I knew the day would come that I would get arrested for something. I did not think it would be with the Colombo crime family in New York because of the fact that I lived in California. But in 1997, an FBI agent did say to me, I will see the day you're chained, shackled, put on Con Air, and brought to Brooklyn, New York. 1997. I want all you young people to remember that. 11 years later, he made it a reality. It happened.
And those 11 years, was he a constant in your life? Did you always have like a run-in with him?
In those days, if you went on my patio and you seen all the cars, one would be the FBI, the next would be the gangster squad from the Los Angeles Police Department.
Wow.
I mean, sometimes I go out there and I had a fake camera and make out I was taking pictures of them. Sometimes I would go out and say, you guys need a coffee. All right? I had to devise different ways and schemes of how to elude them when I did leave, because I knew they were behind me. And my most famous thing that I did, without anybody ever knowing, is I was known at every restaurant and hotel here in Los Angeles. And I pull up, I'd give my car to the valet, I'd walk in the restaurant before they got out of their car. I was out the back door, I had somebody waiting, and I was gone. So by the time they got in the restaurant, they were wondering where the freak I am. But I'm gone. You got to devise certain things, because even as a gangster, I gotta admit, I loved what I was doing as a gangster. Okay, I loved the money, I loved everything that came along with it, the excitement, and but here again, I had the knowledge. I knew the politics and how it worked, and you got to live by certain rules. If you don't live by those rules, you're going to end up in the bottom of the water or in the trunk of a car. So here I am. I never informed against anybody. All right, I could look in the mirror. I like who I see. But upon my release from prison, I realized I didn't want anything more to do with that life. That life is over. It's not what it used to be, and it's nowhere near what they glorify at the beginning of movies. You gotta remember, movies are made to sell tickets for people to go. And I changed my life, and I ended up writing my book. And because I made a promise. When I was in prison, don't think that all my friends in New York and all wise guys around the country were putting money in my commissary. No. All right, that's only in the movies. Really like that don't happen. And it was my children who made sure my commissary was flush. It was my children who were there, and a few friends. And, but going into prison, I changed my mindset. That's my life. Now I gotta fight my case. I was known as a renegade lawyer, a renegade client, because I started studying about RICO and all these freaking laws and understanding. I started writing my own motions. I ended up, I got very fortunate with the judge. I signed a plea agreement for 97 months. The judge gave me 62. So I was very, very lucky, and I got out of prison at the age of 68 years old. I'm now 78. It's been 10 years. But in that 10 years, I've helped several young men stay out of prison. I've helped even young women decide what they want to do in life by mentoring them, motivating them to become better at what they are. I got one gal just last week. All right, she's made the decision. She's out in San Fernando Valley. She's going to go into entertainment law. She's in college right now.
That's crazy.
And she selected entertainment law. And because that's what I advised. I found out what she loved doing. She wanted to be in management, she wanted to be an actress. Well, what do you love doing? And she loved law. What aspect of the law? I said, you want to make money, you want to be happy. And the came in lawyers that I know are happy and they make a lot of money.
Yes, they do.
And then she wrote me, she said, my father told me the same thing. And I think I saw it on her text.